Be happy. Be healthy. Be your best. Be your best.
Okay. Well, I'm doing a podcast today.
Be
I
happy.
feel like crap. I've had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old that live with me, with my daughter. And we were taking turns taking care of them because it's school season. And one brings home one thing from kindergarten, shares it with the other one, and then they do it back and forth. And I'm really fortunate. They tested positive for strep yesterday. I'm just tired and have a slight virus. Woohoo! Okay. Anyway, so what do I want to talk to you about today? Man, you get in one of those situations and it takes a hit, not only on your immune system, but your nervous system and everything else. So what kind of goes on with different things like that? Let's just skip the fact that I'm not feeling so great today, but let's talk about, okay, you've got your hypothalamus, right, in the brain, and it's basically the control center of the brain. And it just coordinates everything from hunger to emotional responses to sleep cycles to the whole 9 yards. And I was thinking yesterday about what I need to support because, yes, I do this for a living, but I don't always do what I'm supposed to do perfectly right. There's times when I don't ever do a lot of bad, but sometimes I don't do enough good. This is one of those situations where for 2 weeks I've gotten a couple hours of sleep at night. We had to take the baby to the emergency room to get an IV. We had the other one that got an ear infection. And this is despite all the things that we do to support them. They're just kids, right? It just happens. But it got me thinking about how it works in our system. And so there was an illustration that one of my mentors gave me years ago, and it stuck with me. And that was that your hypothalamus basically owns the building, okay? Owns a building. And every day it comes and it gives the keys to the pituitary to go in and conduct the orchestra. Well, what's that all about? It's the fact that the hypothalamus does a lot of control in the body, but basically it gives the keys to the pituitary to open the building to go in and conduct the orchestra. So on days like today, when you're just feeling lousy and you're feeling crappy and your immune system's been hit and you haven't gotten enough sleep and you haven't quite eaten quite right, and you might be a little bit dehydrated, just pile the whole list together, right? It's just part of life when you have a whole family where everybody's, oh, and my mom that's 90 in the meantime took a fall. We had to take her to urgent care, but she's fine. She's doing great. She's in great health to begin with. And she's one of those rock solid, hardcore, stubborn New Englanders, the type, right? Anyway, back to the pituitary. So the hypothalamus gives the pituitary the keys, and the pituitary goes in to conduct the orchestra. All right. Well, in a situation like this where you're tired, you run down, you haven't had enough sleep, you haven't been eating great, you're dehydrated a little bit, whatever, and you've got to get back on your feet and get going, right? What's happening is the pituitary is going in and opening the door and going in, and the conductor of the orchestra, which is all the rest of your endocrine system, right? You've got your ovaries, if you're a guy, testes, you've got your adrenals on top of the kidneys. You've got all of these, the thyroid, all these endocrine glands. Well, basically, the conductor is asleep on the podium, half asleep, going like this. And so what you end up with is a whole endocrine system that sounds like a orchestra, just practicing, but not really playing. This was the image that my mentor gave us years ago, and it really stuck with me. So you end up with a lot of discordance in the body. You've got, you've got the cymbals over here, you've got the violin over here, you've got the everything, and it just is not harmonically playing together. So that's kind of what happens to your system when you're either under a lot of stress, and so the adrenals are under stress, and then you have the thyroid that sometimes is talked about as being the twin baby of the adrenals. It's kind of a misnomer because they aren't actually twin babies. They have completely different functions. But the problem is if you get lowered cortisol levels or elevated cortisol levels, then you affect the production of different things in the thyroid. And at the same time, if the thyroid ends up under stress and it ends up not functioning properly, that affects the adrenals. So that's why they call them twin babies in the same room in different cribs. So in my situation, it's where I haven't had enough sleep. I'm not drinking enough water. But there's also a mineral depletion because of the different things that have been going on the last couple of weeks. And minerals are like fuel to that whole endocrine system. Everything in that endocrine system and the body in general, the way your lymphatics work, the way your digestion works, and the way the endocrine system works, depends on those minerals. And so if you start to, like in my case, I'm going to go home early today and I'm going to drink some extra water. I'm going to put electrolytes in it. I'm going to take some shots of trace minerals. I'm going to get myself possibly some fresh squeezed juice on the low sugar side, or vegetables, whatever. Eat some decent protein when I get home. What I'm going to do is flood my body with hydration and minerals, some vitamin C, some hormone support. And what's going to happen is then the hypothalamus, which has already given the keys to my pituitary this morning to conduct the orchestra, well, the orchestra is going to start playing together. They're each going to get a little bit of the fuel that they need. The conductor is going to stand up a little bit straighter. And all of those instruments are going to start playing together better over the next couple of days. Well, what's going to happen then? That's going to boost my immune system. The added hydration with electrolytes is going to give my lymphatic system more volume in order to transport nutrients to the cells and to take away some waste. I'll just take some support like moon brew or something like that tonight to get a really good night's sleep. And by tomorrow, I will start to feel a lot better. I tend to recover really quickly. I have a really good reactive system that way. So just wanted to kind of give you an idea on that, just how things work, that interconnectedly. Think about it as your body being like an orchestra, directed by the pituitary, directed by the hypothalamus and the adrenals. You have that hypothalamus adrenal pituitary axis that is referred to. And then that has major influence with the thyroid and everything else that goes down below it. So when you start to feel lousy, you start to feel crappy, just think about how everything has to play together. And then think about the things that you can quickly add in, like electrolytes, proper hydration, minerals, some high quality nutrient-dense juices or foods, a good night's sleep, and you can get yourself up and running better. So anyway, thought I'd give a real life scenario today. So I am going to sign off and go do the steps that I just talked about doing. And I will see you feeling much better in the next episode.
Be healthy, be your best.